one of the most interesting things, or possibly the only interesting thing on this podcast, she mentions that the guest, Katie Lee, she says that when Katie Lee turns up at their Montecito mansion, Archie and Lilibet call her Auntie Katie.
Yes, she did say that on there. It was, for context, it was off the back of Katie saying that she was sad not to have been blessed with children herself, so that was obviously a personal spot for her, and she said, I'll just be the cool auntie. With that said, it's a very, it's the comment clearly was going to, Meghan's comment about her kids calling her Aunt Katie is obviously going to hit a nerve because the kids do have aunties and Aunt Catherine over in Britain that I don't think that they have any sort of relationship with, so it would clearly hit a nerve. Yeah, it was an interesting comment, I would say, and obviously we've picked up on it. When I heard it, I thought,
those children are surely going to resent at some point the fact they're suddenly going to realise that their first cousin is the future king. They could have been enjoying life at Windsor and all sorts of things. So, I mean, children are not stupid. I mean, they're going to realise that at some point and probably want to have some sort of connection.
And hopefully that's something that does happen down the line. This is a new generation we're talking about in terms of William and Catherine's kids and the Sussexes. Maybe they'll all forge that themselves. I tell you, the
great hope for that is Princess Eugenie, I think, because there was some talk of him going to have a house in Portugal. Do you remember?
Yes.
And she is the one who is still able to be in touch with them. And she, I suspect, could be the one who could link the children together. That's what I'm hoping.
That would be nice.
Well, interestingly, this is a bit of a diversion off, but I understand that Eugenie had fallen out, or Harry and Meghan had fallen out with Eugenie because she was seen pictured with Piers Morgan having dinner about a year ago. They went for a pub lunch and there was a bit of upset in Montecito because obviously Piers Morgan and Meghan have bashed heads in the past, and Harry have bashed heads in the past, and that they took a dim view of Eugenie going out for
well, I hope that relationship does survive, because I think that's a really important link.
It's his last remaining link.
And he's been so close with her.
Yeah. Well, the King's left the door wide open for him, but then there's this sort of issue that Prince Harry seems to think the royal family should be apologising to him, whereas it should be the other way around. And the King's got a lot of other things on his mind, but he's never responded to anything. He's left the door open. I think, he would do well to try to sort of do something. We don't know whether anything's going on behind the scenes. He's got much more hope of reconciliation with the King than with his brother.
Well, I think the general feeling is that Harry probably needs to apologise.
He certainly
either
does.
Publicly or privately, and then we can...
move on, yeah. That's the way, isn't it?
We can't move on just yet, because we need to just... Quick little chat, a little bit more on the episode. Bronte, you might be the target audience for this kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? You might for this show. It's something that I imagine that you could enjoy. But what do you think about? She was talking about the change in the name from American Riviera Orchard and As Ever. She also seems to be trying to clear things up. It's not just about being an entrepreneur. She seems to be tidying up things that she's previously said in her life and how her brands come about. Is that fair?
In Meghan Markle's latest podcast episode, what started as a casual conversation quickly took a very revealing turn. Behind her carefully chosen words, royal watchers spotted a subtle but unmistakable dig aimed directly at the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton. Was it intentional, or just another case of Meghan being misunderstood? Let's break down every moment and uncover what she really meant. The episode began innocently enough, Meghan speaking about women being free to express themselves and not living under someone else's expectations. But listen closely, and the tone says more than the words. To many, this wasn't empowerment talk, it was a carefully coded jab at Kate, the very royal who embodies tradition and restraint. Then came the moment that raised eyebrows. Meghan referenced smiling through discomfort, hinting that some women play the role they're given rather than the one they choose. For those in the know, that line sounded like a direct hit. After all, Kate's composure, her public smiles, and quiet strength have long been praised, the very things Meghan once criticized as inauthentic. Even Meghan's tone said it all, smooth, confident, and just a little too deliberate. Every pause and smirk added fuel to the speculation. It wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. Royal experts noted that Meghan's choice of phrasing seemed designed to sting, and it did. Reports suggest that inside Kensington Palace, Meghan's comments didn't go unnoticed. Kate, always dignified and composed, is said to have been hurt but unsurprised. She's been here before, targeted by subtle shade, dressed up as female empowerment. Yet, once again, she's choosing silence over scandal. Some commentators believe Meghan knows exactly what she's doing, using her platform to stir the royal pot just enough to grab headlines. Every sly dig guarantees publicity, and every royal reaction keeps her in the spotlight. Whether you call it strategy or provocation, it works because once again, everyone's talking about Meghan. Social media lit up instantly, Team Meghan applauding her truth-telling, while others accused her of being petty and performative. The line between empowerment and insult has never looked so thin. One thing's clear, the divide between Meghan and Kate fans just deepened. So, was Meghan's comment a genuine observation, or a deliberate jab meant to draw blood? Maybe both. But one thing's undeniable, she knew exactly how it would land. And Kate, ever the professional, continues to rise above it, her silence speaking louder than Meghan's entire podcast. As the royal feud simmers once again, one question remains: how many more accidental digs can Meghan make before the mask slips completely? Stay tuned, because this royal story is far from over.
Absolutely, I do think she's going back on a few things, as in returning to the subject of a few things that she is trying to clarify. The trademark thing was interesting because when she announced, I think it was in February, a couple of weeks before With Love Meghan premiered, she announced that it was that American Riviera Orchard was going to be called As Ever. And when she said that, it was the reason she gave in that video was that it was because the original name had limited her to products that were manufactured or grown in that area, and I think she wanted to expand it out. In this one, in the podcast episode, that's not what she said. She actually said that it was because, and it was a very interesting choice of words from her. She said that she'd kind of fallen out of love with the name a little while back because it was a word salad. Now that phrase, I mean, it gets used a lot these days and accurately. That is something that has been put to her a lot, the way she speaks. They say, Meghan speaks in word salads, and for her to use that, I mean, it could be one of two things. She's either owning it and saying, yes, I do, or it was a little bit of a pushback, a bit of a dig back at the press, because that is something that has been attached to her so many times. So that was really interesting, but there was no mention of that locally grown issue. So, or the trademark issue itself, which I think is the main problem.
I think a word salad might have been one of the more interesting recipes on her cookery show. That came some alphabet spaghetti or something like that.
Very good.
Tom Bower has done an interview over the weekend when he's spoken about his second book that he's doing on the Sussexes. The first one was mainly on Meghan, and the second one is going to be about the Sussexes as a couple into their relationship. He has done some books on the King in the past, which I have poured through, and there's so much detail. I have read Tom Bower's Rebel Prince, and it is a very, very thick and compelling book. But he has done an interview saying that he believes that Harry and Meghan's relationship is at a crisis point, and he says that they want different things and they face a fight for survival. What do you think of that take from Tom Bower on Harry and Meghan?
I think they're always at a crisis point. Because they've left the royal family, and the royal family are working for the nation, United Kingdom, Commonwealth, and putting things into life. They've taken the celebrity route, which means they have to completely reinvent themselves the whole time to keep in front of the public, public opinion. So they do, which they do quite effectively, but they're always changing direction. Therefore, they must always be at a crisis point. I have a feeling this story is going to end badly, certainly for Prince Harry.
How do you mean?
In the long run. Well, I don't see it lasting. I mean, I don't wish them ill, but I just, if you look at, people actually always act in character. I mean, I'm a biographer rather than a journalist, so I look at how people deal with their lives. And she's dumped her father, her first husband, Jessica Mulroney, the entire British royal family. Who is next to the chop?
Well, who's next in line?
Exactly.
You're suggesting possibly Prince Harry.
Well,
they say it's a crisis
when she doesn't
point,
need him anymore, she'll dump him.
In terms of Tom Bower's book, I interviewed him actually recently for his Victoria, for the House of Beckham book, and he doesn't pull any punches, so I can imagine that this book will be that again. But what will be... I was thinking about it when I heard about this book. I thought, OK, what don't we know about them, or what area of their life hasn't been examined? We've obviously had endless reports about them from themselves as well, including their Netflix series and Harry's book, everything over the last few years. What's been sort of the one area that possibly will be, ripe for examination is the last 12 months, because there has been a lot of redirection for them, as you've mentioned. There's been, deals collapsing, so the last 12 to 18 months, deals collapsing. Meghan's launching a new business that has had a few twists and turns and snafus, and there have been more reports than ever about the state of their relationship, both professionally and personally. We don't know what the truth of that is, but I don't know that this book will be able to also find out for sure. But that's an area that we haven't examined, and it's an area of, I think there has been some turmoil, just even professionally. We can see that from the way that some of the businesses and their ventures have gone recently. So that's probably the part that I'm interested in. I hope there's not more re-examination of prior to that, because surely we've done that now, even by them. We've all talked about it.
It is. It's the relationship between Harry and Meghan that is the most fascinating, because, we have body language experts, you have all these kind of experts coming on saying, oh, they look like this. We see videos of them in Colombia. Harry looks grumpy, Meghan trying to take centre stage. We all analyse it all the time, and it fills online, it fills a newspaper, it fills social media. It would be nice for someone to actually give us some revelations about what is actually happening.
Exactly.
I'd be absolutely delighted if they were having a wonderful time and having a wonderful life out there. I mean, that'd be fantastic. But people will be interested in what is going on behind closed doors at Montecito.
Absolutely. I think it's the state of their relationship right now is what people are interested in, because there has been so many contradictory reports about how they're faring in their new life. I say this because it's been 5 years since they left, but how this life is panning out for them in California, and whether or not that has been helpful or detrimental to their relationship. I think that's the part we want to look at.